This is basic incompetence. I mean, this is what you get when you put talk show hosts and real estate developers in charge of American national security. A war that makes absolutely no sense.
He means that literally. The Secretary of Defense is Pete Hegseth, a Fox News weekend host with no military command experience. The Commander-in-Chief is Donald Trump, a real estate developer who promised in 2 national campaigns that he would not drag America into another Middle Eastern war. America is now in its 6th week of 12 confirmed American deaths, no congressional authorization, no public hearings, $2 billion per day, and a war aim that has quietly been downgraded to reopening a strait that was open the morning the bombs started falling. Murphy is a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He has been in the classified briefings. He is not speculating. He is describing what he has seen, a military operation being executed without coherent objectives, hidden from public scrutiny by a Republican majority that has blocked every attempt at debate. The question driving this speech is simple. Why? Murphy lays out the record.
Mr. President, colleagues, in a few moments, I'm going to call up for a vote, a resolution on a privileged motion to end the war in Iran. I'm going to be joined on the floor by several of my colleagues, all of us here in astonishment that 4 weeks into the most significant conflict in the Middle East, in most of our careers in this body, 12 plus Americans killed, $2 billion at least being spent every day, thousands dead throughout the region. We have still not yet had a single hearing in the United States Senate on the war in Iran. We have not had a debate on a war authorization. We have not had a vote to allow senators to weigh in up or down as to whether they want the United States to be at war again in the Middle East. This is an extraordinary moment, and I know we risk engaging in hyperbole these days, coming down to the floor and naming one moment as extraordinary after another moment. But I don't think we have had a moment like this where the United States has been unquestionably at war with a foreign power, where American soldiers are dying as we speak, and it is being hidden actively from the public by the Congress.
Because the record is the argument. 4 weeks of war, no Senate hearing, no armed services testimony, no war authorization debate, other than what Democrats have forced at the floor level. Here is what we now know from outside those sealed rooms. Murphy emerged from a classified briefing and told reporters the war plans are incoherent and incomplete. He specified, military leadership confirmed they are not targeting nuclear sites. They confirmed they are not seeking regime change. Both were stated publicly by Trump as war aims. Neither is being pursued. Trump gave a primetime national address on April 1st. Murphy's response, in full, that speech was grounded in a reality that only exists in Donald Trump's mind. The Senate's job is oversight. The Republican majority is refusing to perform it. That is not a procedural dispute. It is a choice to let Americans die in an unauthorized war without asking a single question on their behalf.
Just in the last week, multiple missile and drone attacks on cities throughout Israel. 6 ballistic missiles from 2 separate attacks hit the Kurdish region in Iraq, killing 6 Kurdish fighters. An Iranian missile attack on the UK-US base in Diego Garcia. That's 2,500 miles away from Tehran. UAE has basically stopped giving out information about these drone and missile attacks because they happen so frequently. But on Monday, they did publicize they engaged with 16 drones and 7 ballistic missiles. That was just on Monday. Israel has invaded Lebanon. Those two countries are on the verge of full-scale war. 1/6 of the population of Lebanon has already been displaced. Syria is at risk of falling apart.
Everything on that list happened while this administration told the American public the war was going well. An Iranian missile hit the U.S. base at Diego Garcia, 2,500 miles from Tehran. The UAE engaged 16 drones and 7 ballistic missiles on a single Monday and stopped publicly disclosing attacks because they were too frequent. Israel has invaded Lebanon. The Lebanese displacement crisis now involves millions of people, and Trump, in the middle of all of this, threatened to wipe out an entire civilization on Truth Social, 90 million people. His own Republican allies in Congress did not publicly push back. Democrats introduced calls for the 25th Amendment. Trump backed down within hours, then posted on Truth Social that if a deal isn't reached, the shootin' starts. Murphy called Trump's threat to bomb all of Iran's power plants and bridges a war crime under the Geneva Conventions. He is not wrong. The conventions explicitly restrict bombing to military targets, not civilian infrastructure. What Trump described is textbook prohibited targeting of civilian populations. Not one Republican senator.
So this war makes absolutely no sense. And the only way to save American consumers, the only way to try to put the pieces back together in the region is for the war to end. So I am glad to be joined here on the floor today by several of my colleagues. Many of them have introduced similar resolutions. This will be the third time that we have brought a war powers resolution before the floor. Senator Kaine and then Senator Booker. This will likely not be the last resolution that we will bring before the floor, because we have a sacred obligation handed to us by our founding fathers for this body and the House of Representatives to decide war. It was a very deliberate decision not to give the power to make war to one individual, to the President of the United States, but to give it to the people. And the people make their voice heard through their elected members of Congress. And so if our Republican colleagues will not do their duty, if they are going to engage in an effort to hide the consequences of the war, if they are going to refuse to ask questions of our incompetent national security leaders at the White House who have waged this war without planning for the foreseeable consequences, then we will force a debate and a vote on this floor. This war is not going to make more sense the longer it goes. It's not going to become more popular. Right now, by a 26-point margin, Americans do not
has said so publicly. Murphy ended with a prediction dressed as a warning. This war will not become more popular. It will not make more sense. Every week that passes without hearings, without a debate, without a vote, Republicans own more of it. He is right, and the numbers back him. By a 26-point margin, Americans oppose this war. Gas is above $4 in most states, heading higher. The Pentagon wants $200 billion more. American farmers are facing fertilizer costs that threaten their businesses, and Iran has emerged from 6 weeks of bombing with more control over the global economy than it had when the first strike landed. Trump threatened to annihilate an entire civilization, asked for a ceasefire within hours, posted that the shootin' starts if talks fail. The Senate is scheduled to vote again this week on a war powers resolution. Republicans are expected to block it again. Rand Paul will likely be the only Republican to vote yes. Murphy's case is constitutional, strategic, and economic simultaneously. He is not against the military. He is against unaccountable war-making by officials who cannot explain their objectives in public because their objectives do not exist. The founders gave Congress the war power for exactly this moment. The question for every senator voting this week is simple. Are you going to use it? Like this video. Subscribe. Share it. Keep the pressure on.